Happy St. Patrick's Day, 5th graders, and we are back with part 2. I forgot to tell you, I have these notes to go into your math notebook. When you come back, I will give these to you. These are the ones from 5L97 with the ratio. Remember, that was the previous video that we saw where there's 3 ways that you can write a ratio. And the most important way is to write them as fractions, because you got to remember that ratios are fractions. They're a way of comparing numbers, and you need to always remember to reduce them. And so that's why I want you to remember to write them as fractions. And then this video, part 2, is going to be 5L98, which is temperature, and we've got 3 examples here. But before we get to the temperature part, and I have notes for you here that I'll give you to stick in your math notebooks later. And this is what those notes will look like. So let's take a look at this real quick. It says a thermometer shows temperature on a scale, which is a kind of number line. We've already dealt with number lines. You already know that there are 3 important things about number lines, and this number line right here has all 3 of them. And so let's be thinking about what those 3 things are that I've told you before. And so this Fahrenheit and Celsius are different temperature scales. Fahrenheit is from the U.S. customary system, and Celsius is part of the metric system. Units on a temperature scale are called degrees. We can use a number line to understand negative numbers and positive numbers. 0 is neither negative or positive, but it is absolutely exactly in between each of these numbers. Like 2 is in between 1 and 3. 0 is in between -1 and +1. So, do you remember the 3 things? Let's see. The first thing is that it has arrows on the ends, okay? Because a number lines, if it were a math line always has the arrows on it. Because remember the line on your face, your mom may say what is that line on your face? But that's really a segment on your face when I do that marker. So to make a line in math, we got to have those arrows. The other thing is that we have those tick marks that are evenly spaced, which they've done very nicely right here. I bet a computer did it. And then next we have to put the numbers underneath the tick marks. That's very important, those 3 things. So the arrows, the evenly spaced tick marks, and then the numbers are underneath the number line. And remember, we don't count tick marks on number lines, we count spaces between those tick marks, all right? So positive numbers are always to the right of 0 because they are greater than 0, and negative numbers are always to the left of 0 because they are less than 0. And so what we're going to look at right here is how to subtract using a number line, all right? So we start with the first number given. So right here's the example. We've got 2 minus 4, and they're telling us that it equals -2. Let's see. A marker. It says start with the first number given. So that first number given is 2. Since it doesn't have a negative sign in it, we know that it's positive. So we're going to start right here at +2. And we're going to take away 4. So that means we're going to go back 4 hops. Not tick marks, but hops, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So after we've gone that 4th hop, those 4 segments, then the answer is -2, because that's what the 4 hops away from +2 is -2. So that is the answer to that. Then in your book, I want to show you, these are some notes that are in your book that you can look at for lesson 5L98. I'm just going to scan through this real quick. You can read this in your math book. It's a great resource for you, but I'm not going to take the time right now, but it gives you another example, a different problem that you can look at. And we're just going to jump right into the first of the 3 examples, okay? So again, in your math notebook, 5L98, this is example 1. And it says the high temperature for the day was 6 degrees Celsius, and the thermometer shows the low temperature during the night. How many degrees are there between the high and the low temperatures? All right, well, this would be a good one for you to look at in your book so that you're actually seeing the numbers. I don't want you to write in your book like I'm going to do on here, but I do want you to take a look at this, okay? So, because this example is in your book. It says that the high temperature for the day was 6 degrees Celsius. So these are negative numbers down here, so these would be positive numbers. Okay, but let's look at this. We go from 0 to 10. Are they going 1, 2, 3, 4, 10? No. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. So they are counting by 2s. So they're counting up 2, 4, 6. So right here is where that 6 degrees would be. So we've got 6 degrees Celsius right here, right? Celsius, did they say? Yes. So 6 degrees Celsius. And so it says how many degrees are there between the high and the low temperature? So right now we know that the high was 6 degrees Celsius. The low, we got to read that on here. So the low is what it's at right now. Now remember, we are counting by twos. So this time we're counting negative numbers. I'm just going to, we started at the 0 here, and we're going to go -2, -4, -6, -8, -10, and then -12. So we are at -12 here, degrees Celsius. But we want to find out how many degrees are there between the high and the low temperatures. So we're actually going to count all of the spaces in between them, all right? So we know that this is that there are 12 degrees from the -12 up to 0. So we've got 12. And then from 0 up to 6, we've got 6. So we're going to add those together. Shouldn't look like a fraction. I just was trying to draw that. So 6 degrees plus 12 degrees is 18 degrees. So even though this is negative, we got to look at this where that's why the number line really helps for us to see here. And so it is 18 degrees Celsius is how many degrees are in between the low and the high. And if you need a better explanation for this, go ahead and read what it says in your book. I'm going to pull that up right here. But it does have as the answer is 18 degrees. So the next one is example 2. The highest temperature recorded in Death Valley is 134 degrees Fahrenheit, and the lowest temperature recorded is 15 degrees. It says estimate. What a glorious word in math is to estimate. And so it says estimate the difference in the temperatures. So that means we're going to take 134 degrees. And difference means we're going to subtract these. So we're going to do this, but it says that we can estimate. So these are awfully, these would be easier to do, to just round them to the nearest 5. So this would be a good thing to say this is really close to 135 because we want to use, that would be a compatible number because this would be very easy to take 15 degrees away from that. So 5 minus 5 is 0, 3 minus 1 is 2, and then bring down that 1. So the correct answer for this is 120 degrees. And so that is just estimating that answer. So that is example 2. Now let's look at this third example, which it's reminding us of those measures of tendency, and this is example 3. Julius recorded the daily high and low temperatures in, the desert for a week, in the table below, and it says we've got highs and lows, and I'm going to pull that down for right now. Let's see. What was the median high temperature for the week? So median means we need to find the middle number. In order to find the middle number, what do? We put the numbers in order from least to greatest. So we'll take, and it says for the high temperature. So we want to find the lowest. The lowest there is 20. So we're going to write down 20. And then the next lowest is 25. Then the next lowest is 30. The next lowest is 32. The next lowest is 32, the next is 40, and the next is 45. Now, notice what I did. I wrote them underneath it just to make sure that I'm keeping track to have the same amount of numbers. So we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we want to find the median, which is the middle. In this case, it is 32 degrees because it's in the middle. And it's in the middle after we put the numbers in order from least to greatest. B says, what was the mode of the low temperatures recorded? Mode. That's asking us to find the number that appears the most, okay? So, and it says of the low temperature. So now they're wanting us to look on that bottom row. So we've got 11. Now listen, see if you hear a number that you hear more than once. 11, 13, 15, 23, 25, 15, 15. You should have heard that 15. That 15 appears 3 times. That's why 15 would be the mode right there. And then the last one, C, what is the range of temperatures for the week? Now remember, range here, what they're looking for, they're not looking for 2 numbers. You have to use 2 numbers to find the range, but the answer is not 2 numbers. The final answer is the difference between the highest and the lowest. So the highest high, we found out when we wrote these here, was 45. So we have 45, and then we're going to subtract the lowest low. And the lowest low here was 11. So we're going to subtract those numbers. 45 minus 11 is 34 degrees. So the range for the range of the temperatures of the week was 34. So we're looking for that. I noticed we had a question like that recently, and this was a review or something, and someone had forgotten that. So just remember that the range is actually looking for one number. And that's what we're looking for. And that is the end of part 2, 5th grade. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.